there, and welcome to the little apartment on the prairie. Today I'm going to make some peanut butter bread, and I thought I'd show you how I make it, and I'll put the recipe down in the description. It's a really easy recipe. I found this online, and I don't remember where, so I can't really give it proper credit. The site I found it on, and it might have even been somebody on Facebook, but I just don't know. But they said it was from a Depression-era cookbook. You don't need eggs, and you don't need butter for it. You also don't need yeast. It's like a quick bread, kind of like banana bread, but it doesn't have a real strong peanut butter flavor. I don't really like peanut butter. I just get so much of it from the food pantry that, I'm trying to find stuff to do with it. So I thought I'd try this recipe. And it tastes a little bit like a peanut butter cookie, but not as sweet. So like a not so sweet peanut butter cookie. But, you can just eat a piece of it like you might eat banana bread or applesauce bread or something. But you could also slice it and you could put peanut butter and jelly on it or butter and jam. I think it'd be good with butter and honey. You could put like butter and sliced banana or butter and sliced apple. I don't know, it'd probably be good with like egg salad or something on it. Even you could slice it and like make a sandwich. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to make it. Ignore the fact that my kitchen's a mess. You see my jars up there. It doesn't look like a mess, but the rest of my kitchen does. But look what I did real quick. Can you see there? I put like beans and rice and oats and some split peas. I've got yellow ones and green ones in my jars up there. Partly because I just needed a space to store more dried goods. But I really like the way it looks. I've still got a bunch of empty jars over here. But I think that looks really good. Okay. Anyway, so you want to preheat the oven to 325. And I'm going to tell you to cut a piece of parchment paper to fit the bottom of just a regular bread pan. And then you're going to spray it with non-stick baking spray. The recipe did not say to put parchment paper in it, so I didn't. And then I regretted it because my bread stuck to the bottom and it kind of came out in like 3 pieces. It was still very tasty, but I hate it when my bread's stiff. I don't have that problem when I make like sourdough. I mean, and I spray, you see how much spray I just put in there. But I have that problem with certain quick breads. I have a chocolate chip banana bread recipe that always sticks. I think the chocolate sticks. But then I also have a pumpkin bread recipe. And it sticks. I've tried all kinds of things to get that not to stick, and I can't do it. And it's so disappointing when they stick. If it's just me eating it, I don't really care if it comes out in chunks and looks messy, but like when you're trying to give it to somebody, you don't want that. Okay, so in a bowl, you're going to put 2 cups of flour. I've got my 2-cup measuring cup. And this bin of flour that's under my kitchen table because I do not know where the heck to put stuff. And I'm like stocking up on all this stuff because of this pandemic. And then I have less and less room to put things. And some people are saying they're having trouble finding flour. Some people are also saying they've had trouble finding yeast. And this bread does not require yeast. I don't remember if I said that. So 2 cups of flour. And then you only need a 1/4 cup of sugar. You can add a little more if you want a sweeter bread, like if you want to taste more like a cookie. But most peanut butters have some sugar in them and they're sweet enough already. This peanut butter I'm going to use is a Pampa brand. Never heard of it. Got it from the food pantry. It's got peanuts, sugar, soybean oil, and salt. So, let's see, 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons has 4 grams of sugar, so that's not a ton of sugar, but 2 tablespoons isn't a whole lot of peanut butter either, is it? Anyway, it only has a 1/4 cup of sugar, which I guess in the Depression they probably weren't using a lot of sugar anyway, because sugar was hard to get. I don't know if they were, that was like in between the wars, so I don't know if they were rationing food or not at that time, but there were rations at some points. Anyway, then it has 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Let me find my measuring spoons. And it rises really nicely without yeast. I guess because it has so much baking powder, and that's baking powder, not baking soda. And I'm pretty sure 4 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon, but we're just going to use a teaspoon and count it out in case I'm mistaken on my measurements. Okay, so 4 teaspoons of baking soda. It's hard to get like just a spoonful. It's either like a heaping spoonful or it's almost full but not quite. One more. Okay. All right. And then half a teaspoon of salt. And I assume you could, you should be able to double this recipe really easily if you wanted. And I'm just making the plain recipe today, but I think it would lend itself really well to adding things to, like chocolate chips, if you wanted chocolate chip peanut butter bread. I might try it with some raisins, or I have a bunch of dried plums which came from the food pantry. I still don't know what to do with all these dried plums. I think that some of them may go into a peanut butter bread. Okay, so then 1 1/3 cup of milk. And for the milk, I'm going to use milk. Yes, I am. In this jar that I canned a year ago. Because, yes, you can can milk. I don't know if the USDA will tell you how. I don't think they will, but you can. I'm not going to tell you how today. But I canned some milk. It was kind of an experiment. I wanted to see how it went. Let's see, I need a 1 1/3 cup, measuring cups. I canned it just kind of as an experiment. Well, I had extra milk, and I wanted to see how it went. So I canned a couple jars of it, which when I'm canning something I haven't canned before, that's what I do. 2% milk, canned May of last year. And that's what I do if I'm canning something new. I just want to see how it goes. And so I left some, you know, for like a couple months and then tried it and get the lid off. Man, this lid doesn't want to come off. Okay. So, smells like milk. It's warm milk. What I found was it kind of separated a little bit, and I didn't necessarily like to drink it, but it's good for cooking. But it's been in there like a year, so I felt like I should use it, so I'm going to put it in this bread. You can can milk. You can also can water. I know somebody who cans butter. Well, it's not butter. It's like, how do you say it? Ghee? I think you pronounce it ghee. You can can all kinds of things, but people will not tell you that you can can. Okay, so now we're going to put in half a cup of peanut butter. And that's it. That's the ingredients. I brought a big spoon. And I'm going to put in, the recipe I found said something like half a cup of peanut butter and maybe another spoonful. So I'm going to like put in half a cup of peanut butter and then a blob of peanut butter. I'm going to stir it a little bit first to get like that. Okay, it starts to make like a bread dough consistency. So I also have some dried cherries that might be, do you think peanut butter and dried cherries would be good? You can add stuff to it. You can also use chunky peanut butter instead of creamy peanut butter if you want. If you want peanuts in your bread, and I guess you could put other nuts in it too. You could also make this with other nut butters, but I'm just always looking for stuff to do with peanut butter because I swear I think I have about 10 jars of peanut butter in my pantry. I'm just not that fond of peanut butter, and food pantries are really fond of giving out peanut butter. Hi, Isaac. You see Isaac down there? He wants to see what we're making. Isaac is fond of peanut butter, aren't you? Go get your Kong. Maybe I'll give you some peanut butter. Isaac's like, I like peanut butter. I don't know if you've seen this apron before. I made this out of like a vintage bed sheet that came from an antique store, I think. I don't know how old the bed sheet was. It just looked like it would make a good apron. It might have been from the thrift store, but I think it was from the antique store. I'm gonna give you peanut butter in a minute. First, I gotta get done with the peanut butter for the people food. Okay, so I'm gonna put in about half a cup of peanut butter. Half a cup. It's easier to me to use a knife to fill up a cup of peanut butter than a spoon. I don't know, that always like sticks and then you have trouble getting all the peanut butter out of the cup. And then I'm just gonna use a knife and put in like an extra blob. So when I say an extra blob, I don't know. It's, you know, an extra blob. That might be an extra 2 tablespoons. I don't know. Okay, come here, Isaac. Bring me your Kong. Now I've got other flour on my spoon. All right. So now I'm going to take another blob, and stick it in Isaac's Kong, which, you know, only do this if you don't mind having some peanut butter on your carpet. Between Isaac and the cats, I think they'll clean the peanut butter off the carpet. And if you want to entertain your dog for a long time, do this and put the Kong in the freezer. If you don't want to feed your dog something really fattening, mix it with some plain Greek yogurt. And it still tastes like peanut butter, and it's still really yummy, but better for them. Okay. Alright, put the lid on the peanut butter. And don't forget to have your coffee. Anyway, I made this apron out of an old bed sheet because I just thought it looked like it'd be a cheerful apron. And I had another apron that was kind of plain and boring, and I just traced that apron. I totally traced it to make a pattern. Alright, so then you stir until it's all one mixture. You know, I'm really thinking now about putting dried cherries in here. Peanut butter and cherry would go good together, wouldn't it? It's a pretty thick dough. I might have put a little bit of water in it last time I made it. I'm trying to remember. If it seems like too thick, I mean, it's a quick bread dough, so it's, you know, it's like not as thick as like the bread dough that you need and stuff, you know, but it's like not as thin as cake batter, but it seems a little extra thick. And if I put cherries in it, it's going to make it extra thick. Alright, I'm going to put just a teeny little bit of warm water in there, because I want it to be like I can pour it into a pan and spread it. So I'm putting, this is like maybe 1/8 of a cup of water. Maybe not even that much. And I'm going to stir it. Let's see, some dried cherries. I'm going to put dried cherries in it and see how it tastes. Because I have an awful lot of dried cherries. Are these dried cherries or are these dried, I think these are dried cherries. Or else they're cranberries. Let's figure out what they are. There might be raisins. Why don't I label my things so I know what they are? Are these dried cherries? I think these are dried cherries. And if I can't tell, does it matter? Okay, I think these are dried cherries. Maybe that's why I put the red top on this jar. But clearly, if that was my plan, it didn't work. So I'm going to put like that's not a very big handful. It's probably about half a cup, but I'm just shaking some into my hand and dumping it in there. think a little of these cherries, because they're kind of tart, but they're very sweet at the same time. So probably a little goes a long way. So if you try this recipe, if you try it with something other than plain or dried cherries, like if you try chocolate chips in it or anything else, let me know how it turns out. This could be a pretty versatile recipe, I think. Okay. So here we go. Can you see that? It's still pretty thick. I'm just going to scrape it in there and then kind of spread it out evenly. And then it bakes for about an hour. And I think last time I might have taken it out of the oven at like 2 minutes early. So, you know, check on it after like 55 minutes or so. And you'll see it rises really nicely. See like how sticky it is? I mean, it's, yeah, thick really. I don't know if sticky is not really the right word, but it's very thick. Good for licking the bowl or having your kids lick the bowl. You know what else would be really good? It'd be good with a scoop of vanilla ice cream, like warm with vanilla ice cream. You could put chocolate chips in it and maybe a little extra sugar, but the chocolate chips would probably make it sweet enough and make it like a peanut butter chocolate chip cake. I like things that don't require tons of sugar. Now, if you're using like a natural peanut butter that doesn't have much sugar in it, you might decide, if you want it sweet, you might want a little more sugar. I like recipes that are easy to kind of play with and customize. You can go, yeah, I want a really sweet peanut butter bread today, or no, I want a plainer bread, like I want to try and put make a sandwich on it or something. Because it has kind of a nutty, flavor, but it's just not a real strong peanutty flavor, if that makes sense. I'm going to scrape the extra off the... Normally I'd wash my hands after touching the dog toy, by the way, but I'm just eating this myself, so I eat dog germs all the time. All right, so there we go. I'm going to put it in the oven, 325 degrees, for about an hour, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. All right, so the peanut butter bread with dried cherries is out of the oven. Here you go. Didn't stick to the pan at all because I used the parchment paper. Looks good, smells fantastic, and I'm getting ready to have a piece. Let me know if you try it. Don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button.